Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing, and happy Valentine's Day to all you lovebirds. She offered her honour, he honoured her offer, and all night long he was honour and offer. You know, bit of poetry at the start of the day, yeah? All right, Valentine's Day, romance, all that. Let's push that to one side and talk some boxing, because we got AJ signed to fight Jermaine Franklin, and a lot of people have been saying this is not a good fight. They feel that Franklin offers potential resistance because he's got good skills, he jabs very well, his feet aren't that fast, though he holds his shape very well. Good engine, good chin, gave Dillian Whyte a lot of problems. So there's going to be that compare and contrast thing going on with AJ and Dillian. And I guess if AJ gets through Franklin, then Dillian is the next opponent. But the thing is, the reasons that people think Franklin is a bad opponent, it's not everyone, but some of them are saying this, they're the reasons I think he's a good opponent. Because if you look at Joshua, his confidence is around the ankles. You know, he's shot to bits. His psyche is rattled and torn up. He can bluster and, you know, empty vessels make the most noise and say how, you know, how he's confident and all that. He's not really confident. He needs to rediscover his fistic identity. And he's a talented fighter. He boxes very well. His feet are actually quicker than you might think, but he's good punch technique. Hasn't got the greatest chin. Engine is a little bit of a question mark over it, stamina-wise. But he's got some skills, and he's already achieved a tremendous amount in his career. And, you know, having turned pro under lots of bells and whistles because of the gold medal at the Olympics, he's a two-time heavyweight champ. But that's not to be sneezed at. So the idea that he can't take on someone at this stage of his career like Franklin, and a lot of people have said, well, he should have taken on someone who he's just going to wipe the floor with, knock him out in 2 rounds. That'll bring his confidence back. That's a highlight reel knockout will say AJ is back. And I think that's a load of nonsense. I think it's far better to put him in with someone who he potentially could look bad against, who will ask questions, who will be competitive, because he's got a new team. You know, he's with a brand new team who it takes time. It takes, I would say, at least a year to settle in with a new team, to work on your techniques, to get your tactics right, to do everything, to gel, not just as boxer trainer, but as people who understand the way each other's thinking. I think that's very, very important and often overlooked. So I think that this is a good opponent for AJ. It may be that Franklin takes him the distance, just like he did with Dillian, because everyone was saying Dillian would wipe the floor with Franklin. And yeah, Dillian was a hot favourite, but that didn't turn out that way. But as with that result, if let's say AJ is taking the distance and does look, you know, not shaky, but he has some problems, and you know, this is how you learn. You don't learn by just banging people out in 1 or 2 rounds. And yeah, AJ has been fighting for a long time now, but you could even call him by today's standards a veteran. But you can still learn things. You can still rediscover tools in your toolbox you'd forgotten about. You can still put it together in a different way than you were doing. You can still psychologically hone yourself to the point where you're thinking in a more positive manner, where you're thinking from a different perspective, tactically. You know, all of this stuff comes into it. That's a technical term, stuff. You know what I mean? It's not just about doing your drills and doing your road work and doing. It's not just about that. It's get with a trainer, and a trainer. A big part of training, as Teddy Atlas often says, is that you're an amateur psychologist, or maybe not an amateur, maybe a professional psychologist. You understand your fighter, you know your fighter best, and you know what you can get out of them, and you know what their limitations are as well. So you can work on, like for example, when Emmanuel Stewart had Vladimir Klitschko, he knew Klitschko couldn't take a punch. He knew that after a couple of knockout defeats, Klitschko was in a bad way psychologically. His psyche was shot. So he rebuilt Vladimir from the floorboards up in a very defensive mode. Lots of grabbing and holding, lots of everything's behind the jab. You remember the Samuel Peter fight where Vladimir was on the floor 2 or 3 times? You know, that was a great learning fight. And people were saying, oh, look, he's crap. You know, he's finished. He's not recovered from the knockouts. And then he went nearly 10 years undefeated. This is possible. This type of journey, it's possible AJ could go on a similar sort of run. Possible. I'm not saying it will happen. And people like Franklin, even if he loses to Franklin, I mean, does it mean his career's over? Well, clearly he's knocked off his perch good and proper. He's, you know, in the lower echelons of the top 10. But maybe he's going to learn. Maybe he'll get floored against Franklin. You know, let's say he has a bad defence against Franklin. He looks bad. You know, he can come back. It might actually lull everyone else into a false sense of security. It might give the wrong impression. Meanwhile, you know, back in the gym, AJ could be honing his skills, getting himself, you know, working on things, learning from his mistakes. This is how a boxer becomes, or shall we say, realises their full potential. And I think Franklin, I don't think this is going to be an exciting fight particularly, but I think Franklin will make AJ think. You know, he's done a lot of, in recent times, it's what do you feel like? Well, I'm not that interested in what you feel like. I want to know what you think. And I want to know how you're thinking. And with this new training team, I don't see I think this is a terrific opportunity to rebuild again from the floorboards up. But I don't like this jumping from trainer to trainer thing. You know, I was never convinced by the second fight with Usyk. People say he did better, but how much better, it's debatable. But I think this is okay. I think Jermaine Franklin is a pretty decent opponent and will ask questions of AJ, and it's up to AJ to answer them or not answer them, but then learn something from being sort of subpar. Before you can be good, you have to be bad. Before you can be wise, you have to be ignorant. This is what happens. So that's my spiel on AJ and Franklin. I don't think it'll be a particularly entertaining fight, but it's an intriguing one. It's an intriguing one. And of course, you can do, like I say, the compare and contrast with Franklin against White and then Franklin against AJ. And if AJ does win, I expect White and AJ to come together for that rematch, long overdue rematch. And I expect AJ to win that, by the way, at the moment. Things can change, but at the moment. So, what are your thoughts? Leave them below in the comments. I'm always interested to read your comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. That helps us a great deal. Thanks for your time as always. Happy Valentine's Day. Much love to you. Take care.